What's up YouTube? I'm Vaughn and this is the Gear channel where we discuss collectibles, hobbies, compare games from tabletop to video games, and today we are finally reviewing my C.O.D deck because the new ban list is officially in effect. So I'm super excited, and we also had to do quite a bit of changes, so I'm definitely going to explain a few of the changes that we had no choice but to do. But the deck is still as strong as ever, especially that most of the changes that we did was mostly like last minute testing, so it didn't really impact it at all. So let's get into it. But before we begin, friendly reminder as always to like and subscribe because it really helps the channel a lot. So let's get into it. So as you can clearly see, we're still running the 60 cards as always. And if we're looking up here, you see that we only have the gammas now and the driver. I actually did take out the Call by the Grave because Call by the Grave was good against Jordan Lockbird and also Dimension Shifter. But since we're not seeing too much of it being played, unless if you're against Flanderies, which is still going to be quite rare, it was very like unlikely to even draw into it, so I actually just decided just to remove it because majority of the time it was just a really dead card. So in today's format, it doesn't really seem too necessary, and especially that we're not seeing that much tier as all, so it's not really going to be that impactful. Well, for this specific build. So if you're playing like 40 card deck, then maybe it's higher chances of actually drawing into it and having the card being much more viable than compared to a deck like this. Alright, after that, we do have 3 Nayas and a 3 Nunu, as always. We do have the 3 Rocket Tracers, but now we're actually playing 3 Starlies because there's actually a lot of combos that you could do with Starlies. And the cards that we did actually take out was actually 1 Call by the Grave and 1 Quick Launch. I realized it was a bit too much of the amount of spells that we were playing for this specific build, so I kind of had to take out a Quick Launch because of it. But the things that you could do with Starlies that's actually really good is that if you are at the point that you actually tribute your Herodic and then you spell summon Starlies from deck, you could actually tribute your Darkest Diabolus after you use his effect, and then you get the VaughnGear over here, and then you're able to get rid of 2 cards with just these 2. So there's a lot of good plays to do with Starlies, so that's why I decided to actually put it at 3. So, and especially if you are adding the dragons over here and extending even more, you kind of want to see it multiple times, and especially if you're using the grave effect to add back VaughnGear from grave to hand, it's definitely good to have multiple of this one. Then we have Recharger because Recharger is amazing. And you know what? 2 is good. You either play 2 or 3. I would not play 1. There's just so much you could do with this card. And what I've been doing lately is that when I play Instant Fusion, because Instant Fusion actually fusion summons the monster, okay? So that means it was properly summoned. So you can actually use Recharger to special summon your Millennium Eye, so you actually have an additional negate, or you could do the regular plays as well, and usually supposed to summon the Zora and start doing the Ogdoadic plays also. So you have lots of different options with Recharger. Then we have Cult. So Cult I actually put back to do because since our tier is at 1, like before I was playing at 3 and it was amazing at 3, and then we had the fusion as well, but since the fusion is now banned, we put it at 1. I didn't want to remove it completely because it's really good, and we could also still spell summon the Mud Dragon as well. And if we need to put back a King of the Pharaoh Imp or something that we want to reuse again, it's actually a very good card to have. So Cult is back at 2, free spells of summoning as always. We do have the Kelback and Algido. We are not playing the other ones because it really doesn't match well with the deck. It's not needed. So you just need 1 Kelback and 1 Algido. Or if you decide not to play either of them, that's completely fine. But you don't need like the Medusa or wherever the other one's called. Okay, then we have the Chaos. We're not playing any of the new Chaos monsters because it's not needed just yet. Once we get I think it's Chaos Angel, then I'll be looking at different like builds to actually put it into with the Ogdoadic. But at the moment, it's not really that strong to actually start playing any of the Chaos cards. So that's why we're just pretty much leaving at these and also with the big ones. So we have the Chaos Valkyrie, we have the 1 Armageddon Knight. If we were able to play more Armageddon Knights, I would definitely play more. We have the Zora, and then we have the Flow Ghost. We have Night Sword Serpent, amazing card. the tier, like I said. Okay, so this rocket is actually quite great because you could actually supposed to summon it to a zone that a Dark Link monster points to. So you can actually use it depending of it for either your Striker Dragon or your Pitsy or even like your Charmer. So you could get that free spell summon, but also it has the additional effect that you could tribute it to spell summon a Dark Dragon or Machine from your hand to the field. But I really like it as well because it's also a tuner monster that you can actually spell summon it with Tracer. So if you need a second tuner, this could definitely help in a lot of situations. So it's quite good. Then we do have the abs. It's just a free ad no matter what, even special summon as well. We have one Nocto. You don't really need more than one Nocto vision, just to be very honest. So one is good enough. Okay, now this I really want to get into because so this effect, okay, when a monster is sent from the hand to the graveyard, it's not saying for your hand. So it could actually be if a monster is sent from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, like hand traps, but also even on your opponent's turn, you can actually trigger this effect as well. So it's actually a really good card that you could just spam freely and just have a free body. So if your opponent is about to OTK, you can at least have an extra body as well for like protection, or to actually start making your vampire or even your Lancelot. It's actually very easy to do with this card. But also another easy one is Empress. So these two are pretty toe to toe. So you can do a lot of plays with both of them, and especially King of the Pharaoh Imp that adds them. It's quite good. Now, this one, okay, I've been so Dark. I haven't really ever played Dark that much, but now I've been playing a lot more because I've been doing a lot of like returning. So even returning a Starlies for follower play as well. But also I've been using it to actually put the Omega from Banish into my grave. So I could use Omega's effect to shuffle it and another card back into the extra deck and deck. And then I could resummon Omega as well. So I've been spamming Omega lots of time with Dark, so it's been working out quite well. I know it's kind of like high to have so many level 8s on the deck, but at the same time, it's very beneficial. We still have the Curse because it's amazing. We have the King and Queen because we have to, because all the hand looping and the snake combos involved with these two, and also they're actually a really good interruption as well. So if you have both of them on your opponent's turn, it's very easy to actually just combo off, and then if you spell summon Overlord as well, you have a free board wipe. So then we have Chaos Creator, which is good for extending, but also repeating Omega as well. Then we have the Levineer, we have Darkest Diabolus, which also cannot be targeted. So a lot of people forget that, and it cannot be tributed. So if your opponent goes Nib, Darkest Diabolus will still stay on the board. So then one Overlord. Honestly, you could side this. Like there's many times like since this is a going first deck, why not? And you could actually OTK without it. It just makes it an easier process most of the time. So that's why I still leave it main. We have 3 Chaos Space, we have 3 Snake Wings, we have 2 Quicklons. You don't really need 3. There's 2 Water Lilies, only because if we're milling and one's mill, we could still add, but also we have another Ododic option to add. But you can actually get away with just playing one Water Lily and also one Serpent Strike as well. We have the Boot Sector Launch, we have the Ravine, we have the Foolish Burial, we have the Instant Fusion, Monster Reborn, and then finally we have the Phantom Knight. That is pretty much a free level 4 Dark Monster. So you could do lots of options with this, from Synchroning, XYZ, or even linking. Okay, so for the extra deck, it's pretty much standard all the time. The only new thing that I actually added was the Cyframe Lambda, because it's very easy to actually make Lambda and then use Omega, so then you could actually get a Gamma in hand, so you're going to have a free extra monster negate as well. So that's been actually working out very well multiple times. So that is the new one that I actually placed. I was thinking of tinkering with a few things and testing like if I could fit like Bone de Fleur instead, and then finding like the right level 2 tuner. So there's also like little options to actually do. So far with Lambda, I'm very happy, but I might be like switching this for something else. Then we have Heroic Seal, we have the Pitsy, we have the Romulus, which also have the extra effect to spell summon a dragon from hand that a lot of people forget about. So then we have the Dark Charmer, which is mandatory. We have the Zombie Vampire, we have the Lancelot 3 negates, we have 2 King of the Pharaoh Imps, and let me tell you, you need 2. You cannot play any of the reptile deck with just 1. You can spam King of the Pharaoh Imp so many ways, so you have to play 2 of this card. Then we have the Omega, we have Savage Dragon still because it's quite good. We have the Mud Dragon, which also another reason why Mud Dragon is good is that if you are worried about like hand traps or stuff like that, like effect veilers, imperm, you could use the effect to actually change this attribute to either dark or light, so none of your monsters could actually be targeted, so it's quite good. And then we have Millennium Eyes, which acts like a call by the grave as well. So definitely I would say is a lot better because you could just keep on equipping, and especially that if you could spell summon it with Recharger, you just have an advantage. Now for the side deck, let me tell you one thing. This is for locals, okay? So Dueling Book, you won't play the Scarlet or the Gaga Cowboy. But for locals, you definitely would because this is a very long combo. So, and especially when you have a lot of opponent that keeps on reading your cards constantly, that takes a lot of time. So, you know what? You have to take it to your advantage and you have to play cards like this in case you hit into time. So, I know it sucks, but unless everyone knows exactly where all your cards does and then just read it once and there you go, then it's not really an issue, but it is a very long combo, so it's kind of hard to actually like win games without hitting time. So it is durable. I won many games just like OTK. The OTK is very fast. It's very easy to actually just do an OTK with this deck if you're going second. But going first, doing the hand loop and then negate, that's where it takes some time. Okay, next we do have Abyss Dweller in case where we go against. Now the Babushka was actually for Flundery, so we're still keeping it in just in case. And then we do have the AA Zeus, which honestly, maybe I might actually switch the AA Zeus with the Lambda since this is actually probably most likely to actually come up more. But I wouldn't really want to have it if I'm starting first. So siding I think is appropriate because if we're actually putting either Abyss Dweller or Babushka, that's more XYZ monsters we could use to make a Zeus. Now for the other side, now we do have one Heartbeat Spreader, and then we have the 3 Lightning Storm for like back row, but also monsters. We are playing 3 Dark Holes, so this was Dark Ruler no more. But when we are against what's the new deck, Kishka or wherever the banishing one, Dark Hole pretty much wipes, so then you are able to actually start using your zones again. So it's definitely a really good card to have, and then also as well as light Rigeki. So for board wipes, you definitely want, and especially in a deck like this. And if you ever have a deck that's not really a 1 card combo and it's always like 2 card combos or more, you kind of want board wipes just so you get like the most value off that 1 card. So you kind of want not extend like so much wasting multiple cards. So if you could just activate 1 and your opponent has to be either a negate or something, then you're not using as much cards compared to other cards as well. And that's it for a deck profile. Now if you guys enjoyed today's video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe. And if you want a sneak peek of future products we're planning to view here on the channel, you can always follow me on my Instagram, VaughnGear. I'm Vaughn, and this was the Gear Channel.